In the previous video, we explored the relationship between physics, belief, and spirituality, and how this relates to the absolute. We saw that physics itself had fundamental unproven beliefs or assumptions at its basis, and there was a natural return of reality from a state of duality to the absolute. We will now go into this further and give examples of how this relates to human life experience. Firstly, let's explore some examples of duality to demonstrate the flow back to the absolute we see in physics. Consider where we have one hot block of metal and one cold. This forms a hot-cold duality concerning temperature. When we bring these into contact, we see there's a natural flow of heat energy, so the cold side gets warmer and the warm side gets cooler until they reach what's called thermal equilibrium. At this point, they have reached the same temperature and the duality of hot and cold has been neutralized. This is an example of the flow back to the absolute regarding heat. Under no circumstances do we find that the hot side gets hotter and the cold side gets cooler, so we understand there's a fundamental law at play here. Another example is electric charge, where positive and negative charges are attracted to each other, therefore neutralizing the duality of charge and returning it to the absolute state. Or in terms of magnetism, the north pole of the magnet is attracted to the south pole, therefore neutralizing the magnetic polarity or duality. These are just some of the examples found in physics. However, as humans, we also have physical bodies made up of atoms that give and receive energy. So logically, we will also work within the same law. So how does this relate to humans in our life experience? Consider a hot air balloon that's stationary on the ground full of cold air. At that point, the balloon is communicating to its environment by a particular energetic signature via the electromagnetic field it radiates. The electromagnetic field is made up of photons, or little bits of information. Consider when the air inside the balloon is heated. The electromagnetic field radiated then shifts to produce photons of a shorter wavelength or higher frequency. To be able to balance the frequencies of the energy it gives out with the frequency it receives, it starts to rise to a different environment to achieve this. Once there is balance between the duality of what it radiates and what it receives, the balloon will stop rising, as it has reached the absolute state. This can also be understood in terms of balancing the duality of pressure or density inside the balloon with the outside. In both cases, there is a natural flow back to the absolute and balance. So let's look at humans. Like the balloon, humans produce an electromagnetic field made up of trillions of photons emitted by the atoms in our bodies. Without conscious effort, this electromagnetic field moves around us, seeking to balance what's emitted with what's received or experienced. Much of this happens by default, however we can choose to consciously make use of this. We can choose what we focus on and the thoughts we think, therefore deliberately change our energetic field, creating an imbalance, bringing us different experiences as it returns to the absolute. This occurs in the same way that heating the air inside the balloon makes it rise to a different location to find balance. If, for example, we consistently think thoughts that we are financially abundant as opposed to financially impoverished, then the electromagnetic signature we radiate needs corresponding experiences to find balance and return to the absolute. Through practices such as meditation and repeating statements to ourselves each day, we can deliberately change our electromagnetic signature and use the flow back to the absolute to change our lives or environment in the way we want. Our human perspective is only one aspect at play in our energetic field. There is the larger perspective that some call God, the universe, source, or the absolute, which also radiates energy through us. This larger perspective brings us experiences that lead to our growth and fulfillment as long as we don't resist it. This is Calvin McCord. If you have any comments, please put them below.